Let's talk a little 21 personnel, guys. Only the Dolphins use 21 personnel more during the regular season than the 49ers. And San Francisco excelled on those plays, averaging 9.5 yards per pass attempt and more than 5 yards per rush. That's huge. The Chiefs' defense didn't see 21 personnel quite as much, but allowed more than 6 yards per rush against it, the third worst mark in the league. That's a matchup to circle and watch. Dan, why is San Francisco so effective out of 21?
Yeah, it's in many ways, Kyle Juszczyk. The game will come down to this, in my opinion. Like how Kansas City's defense handles this San Francisco 21 personnel, 2 backs, 1 tight end. One, because they can present it looking like a traditional 21, like they do so often now. There's that 2 backs where you have McCaffrey in the backfield, Kittle up top, and that now looks like a 21 run where the wide receiver, we talk about these guys all the time, they're great at the block, they go outside in, Juszczyk and Kittle lead up. This is a traditional 21 toss to the perimeter 1 play. Well, then I could line up in that 21 personnel again. But this time I take Juszczyk and I put him next to George Kittle as a tight end, and we have our slot down at the bottom, wide receivers, we go ball fake, and we can have both Kittle and Juszczyk in protection. You're faking the run, and then there's that gashing throw that Marcus talked about before. And so 21 as 21. 21 kind of looks at 12. Well, now 21 I could present it as almost 11, which would be 1 back, 1 tight end. Juszczyk up top, Deebo motions over. Now it's a bunch. This is traditionally like what looks like an 11 personnel passing formation. Yeah. This is the zone run scheme that they've gotten back to where you condense, and there's that beautiful cutback by Christian McCaffrey. Here's the most fascinating aspect of it with me. 21, I expect Kansas City to play base defense, right? Put 3 linebackers on the field. That means McDuffie goes and plays the outside corner. If they get in 21 and they play in non-21 traditional formations, right? A little bit more 11 spread, 2 people on each side, maybe empty. Who covers McCaffrey? The game will come down to that.
It's the most versatile personnel group in all of the NFL. And Dan showed you that even the first toss, which ended up looking like a 21 run, actually started in a 12 formation with Juszczyk as the U. And I think that Kyle Shanahan does an amazing job of utilizing all of his pieces, but it's also the pieces that he's acquired, right? The Juszczyks, the Kittles, the Deebo Samuels, the Christian McCaffreys. All these guys can move into multiple positions, which gives you different formations, which makes it incredibly difficult to match defensively. And what Kyle Shanahan has been amazing at doing is diagnosing who you have on the field from a defensive personnel standpoint and getting in the best formation and play to attack that.
This is why I have a crush on this show, because we stuff like this just come out of the blue, and it takes me back to when we were in film rooms when we were playing. I'm not going to speak to it from a matchup. You both of you guys have covered that. I'm going to talk about it from a defensive line perspective. Formation diversity is our worst nightmare as a defensive line, because we never can decide whether it's run pass. And that's what 21 does to you as a defensive line. We used to have these conversations all the time. It was what DeMarcus Ware hated the most. Overhang tight end for every other team in the league most of the time meant that they were going to run the football. In this particular offense, the Shanahan offense, we used to play his dad Mike, they would throw it over your head, and you'd be like, how the hell this dude end up wide open? Well, your linebackers are playing run. Their first step was forward, and the defensive line is slow to get to the quarterback because you have to think about all of these plays that come. I'm going to take people real quick into a game plan situation. We get a worksheet for the week, and we get personnel, and we get these plays come out of this personnel. These are the tendencies. These are some clues that you can look for. It's 21, 22, 13. Every time 21 personnel showed up on the call sheet for the week, it was 50 plays labeled under 21 personnel. Everybody else had like 8 or 9 plays that they would run out of.
I'll tell you about one of those tendencies since second half of the season through the playoffs. Deebo Samuel gets the bulk of their targets when they're in 21 personnel. Twice as many targets as George Kittle, for example, which I was actually kind of surprised by. I thought it would be McCaffrey potentially. Nope, it has been overwhelmingly Deebo. And that cuts to the point you made, the question about how the Chiefs will play this. I assumed it would be base, said they play a lot of base generally. But when I went back and looked at the 2022 game, Spagnuolo played predominantly nickel against their 21.
Problem, don't you think?
Well, they're going to run on you if you play nickel. So the question is, you have to decide, do we want to play, maybe not entirely nickel, but more nickel so that we can get McDuffie the matchup we want, essentially getting him closer to the ball? But then you make a sacrifice against the run, or flip it, do you prioritize stopping the run?
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead. I'm about to ask RC something too.
If they played nickel versus it, could you see them putting McDuffie at safety and dropping Reed down?
No, but here's what I would do. I would play nickel against it, right? Because nickel now has McDuffie in the run, and you can insert Justin Reed into the run as well, because somebody does have to cover 23. Somebody does have to cover 19. Somebody does have to cover 85, and they're physical enough in the run game.
They're good run defenders.
I
That's why I lean towards this as well.
was finna ask him, is Justin Reed going to have to be the free hitter?
Yeah.
Because that's what you try to create when you get 21 personnel in runs. For us, that used to be Roy Williams. That's a damn linebacker playing the run. Justin Reed was really good, too, against Baltimore. He was a really good run.
Like their base defense has been great shakes against
Exactly.
runs.
The game will come down to that.
I can't stay
Hey,
here.
Justin Reed, you better step up.